Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time joining, hi, I'm Andrea and I'm here to help you out, sis. So I've been on this whole side hustle journey for over a year now. And I also have been climbing the corporate ladder for over a decade, and I went from minimum wage to 6 figures in 5 years. Weird flex? Possibly. But totally relevant for the newfound trust we are building right now. But in all seriousness, I am crazy passionate about helping people and sharing what I've learned through research, observation, and most importantly, experience. So today we are here to answer the age-old question, how do I turn my passion into profits?
Well, hello there. Oh, hi.
You know what's crazy? Most people are actually in a career that does not align with their passions whatsoever. And I mean, if you're cool with that, I'm cool with that. I'm a little confused as to why you clicked on a video titled, but that's none of my business. Have a seat. But before we get started, I want to gently remind you that you probably aren't subscribed. And now that you know that, I want to kindly suggest that you consider subscribing if you like this video. But back to the topic. Right now, more than ever, is the perfect time to start figuring out how to make that extra cash. So here are 5 steps on how you can get started. Step number 1, do your research. You need to understand if what you're passionate about is actually profitable. Your hobby just might not be that cash cow that you're hoping for. For example, if you're in the business of making sweaters out of eyelashes, I can tell you right now, baby, that is not it. That is not it. I find that people are usually in 2 camps when it comes to this topic. They either think their hobby is not interesting and no one will pay for it, so they don't even try. Or they're on the other end of the spectrum where they think that their passion is everyone's passion and they're gonna be raking in the dough. But the only way to find out is to ask the question and see what the data tells you. Now, I know many of us, especially us millennial tech savvy folks, think we know our way around Google, but how many times has this been you? Exactly. So make sure you're getting great, credible sources that have a well-rounded opinion so you can lay out the pros and the cons. Look at the size of the market that you're interested in and what do experts say that the trend of those markets will be over the next few years. Are people searching for it? What does the competitive landscape look like? Yada yada yada. Now, I do want to warn y'all, there is something very real and very spooky known as analysis paralysis. This is when you will do so much research that you will talk your ass out of something before you even started. So get the information you need and log off. And once you've done all of that, you should have an opinion on whether or not your business could be profitable. If you have done all of that only to find out that nobody wants your eyelash sweaters, don't worry, in a moment we'll be talking about how to pivot and figure out what is the right thing for you. But those of you who are pleasantly surprised with dollar signs, here is step number 2. Identify your audience. This step actually can be kind of difficult for some, especially if you haven't found your niche yet. Thumbs up this video if you want me to do a specific video on how to find your niche. Here's what I do. Think of your product or service holistically and answer the question of what problem are you solving? Everyone's business is solving a problem, even if you would consider it as non-essential. For example, my business cocomicheleillustrations is here to serve the underrepresented demographic of Black women. So my target audience is Black women. Niches are important because the more specific you can get, the better quality of audience that you can target. So start off really broad before you figure out which corner of the market you really want to hone in on. Don't worry, your audience will tell you. Once you understand who you're serving, you'll be able to optimize how you serve them. You can speak their language, understand their sense of humor, relate to them on a way that other brands won't be able to. That is how you build a trusting foundation. Now, for my eyelash sweater makers, I did not forget about you. Don't feel discouraged that your original idea isn't really the right move for you right now. Being fluid and flexible is an important skill that everyone needs to learn. So learning how to pivot early on will actually be an advantage. Take a look at your idea and figure out what exactly about it isn't working. Did you get a little too specific? Even though you want your niche to be tight and concise, you don't want it to be so specific that you're isolating pretty much everyone but you. Would it cost too much to get off the ground? Is it too much time to invest off the bat that you don't have? Think of all of those different possibilities, and then this is where your creativity comes into play. How can you do something that is still fulfilling your passions but also in a profitable way? For example, Coco Michelle Illustrations, when I first started it, I only sold really art prints, and that was really just because I wanted to. Over time, I realized that that wasn't really what was moving for me. People wanted gifting. People wanted mugs and greeting cards and things of that nature. And once I started providing that, sales took off. I realized that my art wasn't bad. I was just in the wrong lane. Basically, instead of making sweaters out of eyelashes, make eyelashes out of eyelashes. And this applies to everyone. So even though you may have found through your research that your business could be profitable, you don't know what your audience wants from you. So always be ready to switch it up. That's one of those things that gets really difficult when you're working with your passion, because you have to walk the fine line of doing what you want versus doing what your audience wants. If you're in here and you're trying to make a coin, you need to be customer centric. It cannot be that you want to sell art prints, so you're only going to sell art prints. Okay, and you're going to be broke. So now that you know who you're talking to, it's time for step number 3, building your platforms. And that was platforms with an S. In the climate of today's society, you need to show up as much as you can. I like to break it down like this. I need a platform where I can sell, I need a platform where I can promote, and I need a platform where I can connect. Every platform doesn't offer all 3 of those for me. So let's start off with a platform where you can sell. If you are just starting off with your business, especially handmade businesses, I think the number 1 tip I can give you is to find a platform that is built on a search engine. So for me, I sell my stuff on Etsy, but what it does is it takes the pressure off of you of driving traffic into your own website. If you go through a platform like Etsy, Etsy is driving traffic to their site. Once a customer is on that site, they are searching specifically for what they're looking for. So that means that if someone finds your items, it's because they're specifically looking for those kinds of things. Versus if you were just on your own Shopify site, for example, all of the responsibility of driving traffic falls on your shoulders. And if you're just starting out, you don't have anyone to listen to all of the great things that you have to say. So I think it's really important to use Etsy or Fiverr or one of those kinds of platforms where you can have a built-in audience. Now, I will say these platforms, like anything else, has pros and cons. So although as you grow and expand your business, I do think that it's best for you to then branch out onto something like Shopify. But for those very first few steps, I think Etsy or something similar is the way to go. Next is the platform where you can promote. This is where knowing your audience really comes into play. You need to understand where your audience hangs out. Each of these social media platforms have distinct demographical audiences that differ from one another. I thrive on Instagram and Pinterest, but my TikTok game, trash. But you want to figure out where your audience is spending most of their time and show up there. This is where you can share the latest and greatest with your business, create excitement, and generate traffic to your site. Now, another warning for y'all. Some of y'all might get caught up in the sexiness of likes and shares and followers. This is not where your focus should be. Plenty, and I mean plenty, of your Instagram faves are broke, sis. Stay focused on the bag. And lastly, create a platform where you can connect. I think connection gets slept on by the masses. There's something so unique and special about being able to connect with your audience, especially on a one-on-one basis. And the more personal you can get, the more profits you are going to see from that relationship. This community will be the first people to be there when you drop something new. They want to support you. They want to see you win. It's not so much about your business. It's about the person behind the business and what that relationship means to them. And that's especially important if you're trying to build a personal brand, because this relationship, that engagement, are things that these big corporations cannot, literally can't replicate. Trust me, they try. So really prioritize that community piece and create genuine connections with your audience. Step number 4, which is a huge influence on whether or not you will be profitable, and that is pricing. Ooh, just saying that word makes me tender-headed. I, along with many other business owners, find the topic of pricing to be particularly delicate and personal to each and every one of us. Because we are talking about our passions, right? We're not just in this for the money. This is something we are passionate about. When we attach a dollar sign to it, it almost feels like we're assigning a value to our own worth. All of those insecurities you have come right up to the front of the congregation asking to be heard, but it's important that you keep the emotion out of it as much as possible. What I do is keep it really formulaic. This plus this equals that, period. So here are the things I consider when I'm pricing. Cost of goods, first and foremost, so that's your raw materials, your packaging, etc. Shipping, so if you have a physical product, how you're shipping that out. Labor, so how much time did you put into it, sis? Are you using other people to create this product? And taxes. Always pay your taxes. Don't even do that. So that number, you need to make sure you're making more than that. Now, when you're first starting out, most businesses will not be able to really pay themselves that much until they really get the cash flow going. So when I was pricing, The labor piece, because I'm making it, was what I was using for myself, but I was really just investing that back into the business. When you're still trying to build your audience, you might want to price a little bit on the lower end because you're still trying to gain that social proof and you want people to buy your stuff and try it out, fall in love. So then you can slowly raise your prices to be what you really need in order to be profitable and thrive. When I first started out, my custom illustrations were $30, $35, and I was spending 6 to 7 hours on it, especially since I was a newer artist and I was still learning the things that I like to do, and I didn't have really processes or systems in place that would make it go much faster. So $35 for 7 hours of work, that's $5 an hour. I should have knew that. But nonetheless, that's unacceptable. So as you start to get that following, you can start saying, okay, what is this really worth? What is my time really worth? It's important to also take a look at the competitive landscape. What are other people charging and what are people willing to pay? So again, Etsy is a great place to search. You can see what people have actually sold, which is a really great resource when you're looking at your competition. What do they sell consistently? What are they charging for that? And if you were to do something similar, what would the profit be on the back end? I personally never like to be the cheapest on the market, but I don't want to be the most expensive either. But because a lot of the things that I'm making are handmade and they are high quality, people are willing to pay a premium to receive those goods from me. But I still keep it fair. I'm always fair, and I do like to practice pricing transparency. So especially for my clients one-on-one, I will tell you, this is going to take me about 8 hours to complete, and this is what those rates would be for me to make this a profitable situation. Those are just my values. I think that it's important, especially for those one-on-one relationships, that there's an understanding that I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. I will definitely do a dedicated video to pricing specifically because there is so much to unpack and it's very difficult when you're first starting out. So I will definitely do that for you guys. And I have been pricing for your mother's favorite department store for many, many years. So your girl can price. This is our final step, which is in perfect timing because it looks like it's about to storm outside, so I'm on limited daylight. But this is step number 5, which is a common denominator amongst most of the successful beings on this here earth. Comment down below if you think you know what it is. You should, because it's the most basic but necessary step of all. Consistency. For those of you who have been following me since my pregnancy vlogs, you may be laughing. Like, of all people to talk about consistency, sis? Really? Are you serious? And that's my bad. But because I have been so wishy-washy, I have seen the greatness that comes when I am consistent and the significant declines that come when I'm not. This really ties back to the community piece. If you are telling someone to trust you and that you will be back in a week and you don't come back in a week, so you just don't give a damn about me, huh? Unsubscribe. Consistency shows commitment. It gains trust, it drives traffic, and it gets you in front of the right people. If you show people what you are about consistently, people will tune in. So those were my 5 steps on how to turn your passion into profit. I will continue to create content that will build on some of these steps into a deeper, granular look. So make sure you are subscribed down below, and I will see you next time. Bye.